On the fateful night of March 6, 2024, around 11 p.m., panic struck the heart of the Solanki family. Vaishali, Jagdish's wife, frantically reached out to Nandlal. Her voice trembled with fear, echoing her distress as she cried out for help. In a chilling confession, Vaishali revealed the horrifying truth. She gasped through tears, describing a brutal robbery that had turned deadly, claiming her husband's life. Nandlal, reeling from the shocking news, quickly reassured her, promising to come immediately. In the shadowy aftermath of the tragedy, Jagdish's elder brother, Kanchan, received the harrowing news from Nandlal, who lived just a stone's throw away. The moment Kanchan learned of his brother's death, urgency propelled him forward. He rushed to Jagdish's home, accompanied by their uncle, desperate to comprehend the nightmarish reality that had unfolded. Within moments, the tragic news rippled through the community, drawing neighbors, friends, and relatives to Jagdish's doorstep. As they gathered, a grim scene awaited them inside. Jagdish lay motionless on the bed, the room in disarray, while Vaishali clutched his lifeless body, her wails piercing the air. Kanchan and Nandlal, along with concerned neighbors, rushed to intervene. They gently separated Vaishali from Jagdish's body, their hearts heavy with sorrow as they realized the gravity of the situation. With a sense of urgency fueled by desperation, they swiftly placed Jagdish into an auto rickshaw, racing toward the nearest clinic. Hope flickered as they sought immediate medical assistance, but their journey felt like an eternity. Upon arriving at Rukmini Bai Hospital, dread enveloped them. The doctors examined Jagdish, and their expressions spoke volumes. With heavy hearts, they delivered the devastating news: Jagdish was beyond saving. The hospital staff, recognizing the severity of the situation, promptly alerted the local police. Within moments, a sub-inspector from Kolsawati police station arrived, flanked by his team, ready to unravel the truth behind this tragedy. The police, assessing the scene, quickly grasped the gravity of the situation. As they began to question the grieving family, their eyes fell upon Jagdish's lifeless form. Noticing the nature of his injuries, a chilling realization began to dawn on them. The evidence before them suggested this was no ordinary robbery. The marks on Jagdish's body hinted at a far more sinister narrative. Determined to uncover the truth, the police conferred with the doctors before deciding to send Jagdish's body for a post-mortem examination. Questions loomed large: what peculiarities had caught the police's attention? What truly transpired that night in the Solanki household? As the investigation deepened, the unfolding story promised to stir profound emotions, revealing the heart-wrenching tale of Jagdish Solanki, a man whose life was tragically cut short. In the heart of Jalgaon district, Jagdish grew up in a modest household where his father operated a tiny barber shop to provide for the family. Jagdish had an elder brother who ventured to Thane, a bustling city in Maharashtra, after marrying and starting a new life with his wife. Meanwhile, Jagdish completed his schooling in their tranquil village, unaware of the dark path that would soon unfold. Jagdish's journey had begun in a small village in Raver Taluka, where dreams often struggle to take flight. After completing his education, he relocated to live with Kanchan, searching for opportunities. Months of relentless effort finally bore fruit when he secured a job at a pharmaceutical company. Just as he began to settle into his new life, fate dealt a cruel hand, leaving a community to grapple with the aftermath of a life lost too soon. As Jagdish's family began discussing his marriage, the prospect of a new life loomed on the horizon. With his recent success and good salary, he was ready to take the plunge into matrimony. Soon, marriage proposals flooded in, but one caught their attention above all: Vaishali Thackeray, a stunning 22-year-old from Nalkapur. The moment Jagdish's family laid eyes on her photograph, they were captivated. She seemed like the perfect match, a vision of beauty that would complement their son's life seamlessly. Eager to share their excitement, they presented the picture to Jagdish. Instantly, he found himself drawn to Vaishali's charm. Without a moment's hesitation, he accepted the proposal, and soon, the families began to discuss the arrangements. In no time, every detail was finalized. Jagdish and Vaishali met several times, each encounter deepening their connection. As they grew more comfortable with one another, the anticipation of their future together blossomed. Finally, the day arrived when they exchanged their engagement vows. Following the engagement, their conversations flourished over the phone, filled with shared dreams and aspirations. Their bond strengthened over the next 6 months, seemingly laying a solid foundation for their life together. Then came the day they had both longed for, December 29, 2023. Surrounded by family and friends, Jagdish and Vaishali made vows of eternal love. However, just days after the wedding, the facade began to crack. Vaishali's true nature started to unfold, revealing aspects of her character Jagdish had never anticipated. Following their wedding, they settled into Jagdish's family flat in Kolshawati, where initial harmony soon gave way to discord. Small disagreements escalated into daily arguments, and the atmosphere within their home quickly soured. Jagdish's family attempted to mediate, hoping to mend the rifts that were forming. They believed time would heal the growing divide, but Vaishali made her intentions clear. She wanted no part of living with Jagdish's family. She insisted on moving out, convinced that a separate life would lead to greater happiness. Desperate to salvage their marriage, Jagdish reluctantly agreed to rent an apartment in Usha Sudan Cooperative Society, hoping this would restore the peace they both sought. In their new flat, it was just Jagdish and Vaishali. Their daily routine seemed ordinary. Jagdish departed for work each morning, while Vaishali managed the household. 3 months drifted by. Their married life appeared stable. The frequency of their arguments had diminished. Yet, on March 6th, the tranquility shattered. The day turned into a nightmare. Jagdish's lifeless body was sent for a post-mortem examination. The police swiftly arrived at the crime scene, his home. They meticulously combed through every nook and cranny for clues, returning to the station to piece together the chilling puzzle. Upon reviewing the case, they uncovered a disturbing detail that would change everything. The supposed robbery and the murder of Jagdish did not align. It became increasingly evident that this case was far more intricate than it first appeared. To unravel the mystery, the police needed to hear from Jagdish's wife, Vaishali. Yet, in that moment, she was too shaken to provide a coherent statement. Senior Police Inspector Shahu Raj requested her to come to the station the following day for questioning. When the day arrived, Vaishali finally found her voice. In her account, Vaishali explained that the evening had begun in an ordinary manner. With no vegetables at home for dinner, she had called Jagdish, asking him to pick some up on his way back from work. Unfortunately, he had forgotten. He returned home empty-handed. Frustrated, Vaishali decided to venture to the market herself. But upon her return, a horrifying sight awaited her. Her home was in disarray, everything scattered and chaotic. Panic surged through her as she rushed to find her husband. Jagdish lay motionless, and a wave of dread washed over her when she noticed that all her wedding jewelry was missing. In a state of confusion, she immediately reached out to Jagdish's uncle, Nandlal, sharing the devastating news. Jagdish and Vaishali had been married for less than 3 months when this tragic event unfolded. Following Vaishali's testimony, the police launched a murder investigation against unknown persons, seeking justice for the slain husband. Simultaneously, the police awaited the results of Jagdish's post-mortem to clarify the precise cause of death. As part of their thorough investigation, officers visited the hospital to gather more crucial details. However, the narrative of this case took a shocking turn when the doctor who conducted Jagdish's post-mortem revealed critical information. He disclosed that Jagdish had not only been strangled with a rope, but had also been poisoned prior to this brutal act. This revelation cast a shadow of doubt over the initial understanding of the crime. If a robbery had indeed taken place, why would the intruders go to the length of poisoning Jagdish before his demise? The police began to harbor growing suspicions towards those closest to him, with their focus sharpening on his wife. As the investigation deepened, authorities turned their scrutiny towards Jagdish's family. They were convinced that his death was no mere accident. It bore the hallmarks of a premeditated murder. The family sensed an insidious conspiracy lurking in the shadows. They believed that despite the vows exchanged, there was something sinister at play between Vaishali and Jagdish. Beneath the surface, Vaishali had never found true contentment with Jagdish. In fact, she had turned down his marriage proposal twice, but familial obligation ultimately forced her into the union. When questioned by police about her past decisions, Vaishali initially tried to deflect, offering inconsistent responses to mislead investigators. However, the relentless questioning by the police proved effective. Under pressure, she eventually succumbed, revealing the unsettling truth behind her actions. The tragic truth lingered heavily in the air. Vaishali had taken the life of her own husband. The haunting question remained, why would she commit such a brutal act? In a shocking revelation, Vaishali recounted that during the initial stages of her engagement to Jagdish, she felt joy and saw no issues. Yet, as time passed, her sentiments began to shift dramatically. The crux of her dissatisfaction lay in Jagdish's unyielding traditionalism. She yearned for a partner who embodied modernity, one who would don fashionable attire, revel in social gatherings, and whisk her away to extravagant outings. However, Jagdish preferred a life of simplicity and tranquility. Just 20 days before their wedding, Vaishali finally confronted him about her feelings. She had held on to the hope that he would transform into the man she envisioned. Yet, disillusioned by his steadfast nature, she declared she wanted to postpone the marriage. Her priority was her career, and she needed time to reconsider her future. In a moment of stark honesty, Vaishali conveyed her belief that even if they married, true happiness would remain elusive. She urged Jagdish to reconsider, suggesting that he should step back from the impending wedding. Jagdish was left reeling from her words, unable to comprehend the depth of her discontent. The revelation was like the ground crumbling beneath Jagdish's feet. With wedding plans already in motion, decorations hung, invitations sent, he struggled to make Vaishali grasp the gravity of their situation. Instead of heeding his concerns, Vaishali issued a chilling ultimatum. She threatened that if forced into marriage, she would resort to drinking poison, leaving Jagdish to ponder the horrific aftermath. His heart raced with terror as he had never anticipated such a grim declaration. Overwhelmed by fear and despair, Jagdish confided in his family. When Vaishali's family learned of her alarming threat, they were equally astonished, unable to fathom her drastic behavior. They admonished her, urging her to reconsider her actions. Faced with mounting pressure from her relatives, Vaishali reluctantly acknowledged her misstep. With no other recourse, she acquiesced to the marriage, yet Jagdish's family harbored lingering doubts about her intentions. Although Vaishali's family eventually conceded to the marriage after much insistence, they made their stance clear: should she err in any capacity in the future, they would not bear the consequences. To mitigate any potential fallout, Jagdish's family sought a written guarantee and an apology letter from Vaishali, which they retained as a precautionary measure. The wedding preparations continued, but tensions simmered just beneath the surface. Even after begrudgingly agreeing to the marriage under familial duress, Vaishali remained conflicted. She struggled to accept Jagdish as her husband, perpetually stalling the wedding. She realized the burden of resolution rested solely on her shoulders. Thoughts swirled in her mind, robbing her of sleep as she tossed and turned through the night. In a moment of desperation, she made a decision that would irrevocably alter the course of their lives. Meanwhile, both families were blissfully engaged in preparations for the upcoming wedding. Relatives buzzed with excitement, and Vaishali's close friends eagerly anticipated the event, repeatedly urging her to organize a bachelorette party. In the days leading up to the wedding, Vaishali hesitated, continually stating, "Maybe later." Then, just 3 or 4 days before the ceremony, she orchestrated an intimate gathering at her home. Among the few invited, the most significant was Jagdish, her soon-to-be husband. Though Jagdish attended at Vaishali's request, he felt no joy or comfort in the atmosphere. Eager to leave, he found himself stalling. Before he could slip away, Vaishali sweetly packed a tiffin box for him, insisting he take it home. With a bright smile, she urged him to enjoy the meal once he returned home. Yet, when Jagdish finally opened the tiffin, a foul odor assaulted his senses. Something felt deeply wrong, prompting him to discard the food without a second thought. Unbeknownst to him, Vaishali had secretly tainted that meal with poison. By rejecting it, Jagdish unwittingly dodged a lethal trap that day. On December 29, 2023, Vaishali and Jagdish exchanged vows in a lavish wedding, embarking on their honeymoon. While Jagdish felt a sense of relief, believing they had overcome past issues, Vaishali viewed their union as a mere compromise. Soon, petty arguments escalated into frequent fights. Frustrated by the constant bickering, Jagdish's family recommended that the couple live apart. Jagdish rented a nearby flat, moving in with Vaishali, fulfilling her hidden desire. Just under 3 months into their marriage, everything was about to change dramatically. Vaishali made a shocking decision. She craved freedom. To achieve this, she devised a sinister plan. That evening, everything appeared normal, yet Vaishali's demeanor was oddly cheerful, filled with affectionate words for Jagdish. Exhausted from work, Jagdish remained oblivious to the brewing storm. Following her calculated scheme, Vaishali secretly laced his dinner with rat poison, serving it with a warm smile, ensuring he consumed every bite. Later that night, as Jagdish prepared for bed, his body began to react violently to the poison. An unsettling unease gripped him, pain twisted in his stomach, and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. Attempting to rise, he felt the urgent need to reach the bathroom, but Vaishali was ready. In a swift move, she seized a strong nylon rope she had hidden and, with all her might, wrapped it tightly around his neck, pulling with relentless force. Jagdish fought desperately, his hands clawing at the rope, his legs thrashing in panic. But Vaishali was unyielding, continuing until he lay motionless. Without hesitation, she grabbed her phone, altering her voice to feign panic. Dialing Jagdish's maternal uncle, Nandlal, she expressed her shock, crying for help as if she had no knowledge of the horror that had just unfolded. Vaishali's motive was driven by a desire for a modern, glamorous partner, yet Jagdish was merely a simple man leading a quiet life far from the excitement she craved. In her deceitful attempts, she sought to manipulate both her family and the police, but ultimately, her facade crumbled. In her reckless pursuit of liberation, Vaishali found herself ensnared in a trap of her own making. A haunting question lingered, with both families aware of her reluctance to marry. Why did they still push for the wedding? Vaishali had even warned them she might resort to poison, a clear indication of her troubled mind. If someone threatens their own life, they might also consider taking another's. Tragically, that is precisely what occurred. In her refusal to accept the marriage, poor Jagdish paid the ultimate price. Following her confession, authorities charged Vaishali Thackeray under Section 302 for murder. She was brought to trial and subsequently sentenced to prison. This chilling case serves as a stark reminder of the lengths one might go to escape their fate. Don't forget to show your support with a heart symbol. Join us for the next story. When a person reaches the depths of despair, contemplating their own demise, the chilling possibility arises that they may also be willing to extinguish another life. This dark reality unfolded tragically for Jagdish, whose life was cut short due to Vaishali's unwavering refusal to accept the truth of their troubled marriage. After her chilling confession, the authorities charged Vaishali under Section 302 for murder. She was subsequently taken to court, where the gravity of her actions was laid bare, resulting in a sentence of imprisonment. Thus concluded today's case. Be sure to show your support with a heart symbol. Join us for the next story.